I
And
love
we
countdowns on live as well.
did we do a countdown?
Yeah,
We did.
it looks
Let's
like
see.
we're live. We got a little counter going now.
Are we live? Oh, I think we are live. Oh, we are. We're live. Okay. Hey everyone, I'm Megan with the Kieran site with the I Believe podcast as well, and we are going live for Men's Health Movember. We're doing something a little different. We're shaking it up. We're doing our podcast live. So I want to introduce you to my wonderful guest today. We have Mike DeVivo. Hi, Mike.
Hi.
All right, tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do?
Well, I forgot it was Movember, first of all, until after you said that. I grow beards. I did this at the beginning. I stopped shaving at the beginning of the month, and now I'm here. Um, I'm
Nice.
just kidding. I I run Vivo Training Systems. It's a health and wellness company in the DMV area, and then I also provide services to companies throughout the U.S. and individuals throughout the world through our online services. And we do that in a myriad of ways. And I've been working, let's see, full time with our company since 2016 with my wife. And then she went full time with us in about a year and a half, 2 years later. So we both run our company together. We got two kids. We live in the Northern Virginia region. And I'm just trying to help people get healthier, build strong habits, and help themselves get into a routine that feels like they're training for their life.
Oh, I love that. That's a great approach. That whole like full circle health and wellness, your whole mind and body. I mean, it's so important.
Yeah, I used to weigh about 300 pounds, and I'm in the low 200s now. And one of the things I noticed,
Congratulations.
thank you. One of the things I noticed when I lost the weight was how much my motivation for losing the weight changed as I kind of went through it. And at
Yeah.
first, a lot of times people start for the reasons that are more related to I want to look better, I want to feel better, that kind of thing. But then it became a lot of I want to be able to do things, and I don't want to feel limited by my health to do those things. And I've really kind of run with that with our business, and that's a big mantra of ours, I would say.
That's amazing. Do you have a lot of male clients?
We have a good amount of male clients. I would say the strength and conditioning field, especially online, is a little bit more skewed towards female clients, probably like 60-40, I would say. When I do employee wellness programs and stuff like that, that's much more split. That's much more like 50-50, I would say. But most of our individual clients are female, I would say. And then about 40% are male. We actually have a higher male to female ratio than most strength coaches, though. But yeah, men don't usually seek out as much in terms of one-on-one or high touch kind of programs. I Most of our men are, it might be this area too because we got a lot of service members and whatnot, but most of our male clients, we give them a program, we meet up with them every once in a while, and then they do their program and repeat kind of. And most of our female clients are more group, small group, actually, a lot of
And
times.
why do you think that is?
Uh, I think the ladies got it right, honestly. Like they have better priorities most of the time, you know.
Yeah.
Health is a little bit higher on their priority lists. Functional health, especially like functional strength, is a little bit higher on their priority list. That's what I hear a lot with my female clients. And then because I think one of the other reasons that numbers are that way is my female clients tend to want to do like small group more, and the male clients don't really want to do small group type stuff as much, I would say. So
Oh,
if I have a
because
group
the
of
females are
three,
more social.
ladies like to work out together. So I have a group of, an example of this would be I have a group of retired women. One of them lives in DC, one of them's in Georgia, and then one of them's in Washington State. And it's really crazy to set up a time that actually works well for all of them at the same time. But we find a time like late morning usually, and they all meet up, and they're all sisters and group workout and whatnot. And I have two
That's
brothers too,
awesome.
but they both have their own programs, and they just meet with
Ah,
me individually.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
I
fun
think
though. It's a nice mix. I like the mix. Honestly, I used to work. I think I was telling you on a phone call earlier. I used to work with like cardiac and cancer rehab. It was one of my first jobs out of undergrad, and so I went from starting with like elderly rehabilitation type of clientele. And then after that, I went into like youth sports for a little bit, and I did college sports for a little bit, and then went to general population, and then I went to corporate wellness, and now I kind of do a little bit of all of that, I would say.
yeah, very well rounded. It sounds like you've hit all the groups.
Yeah, I feel pretty well rounded now. I kind of waved through different demographics and psychographics, I would say, over
Yeah.
time. I've been doing this since 2004. Even though we started our company in 2016, I've been in the field for a bit.
Yeah, definitely. So if somebody wanted to work with you and they're not really sure if they're a good fit for you, who would be a good fit for you? I mean, it sounds like pretty much
Yeah,
anybody.
I think a lot of times what I try to focus on is the psychographics nowadays, and the best fit for that is usually somebody who feels like they're having a hard time getting into a strength routine, and their priorities for their strength routine are their daily life and their weekly activities and the things they want to do or the things that they're trying to do that might be hard for them. I would say that's our main group, our psychographic that we're looking at. And really that spans across a bunch of demographics, honestly, when we say it that way. But we don't really focus on, I would say, the typical training things like bodybuilding competitions. We do work on fat loss and muscle gain, but it's more as a side effect, I would say, of moving better, feeling better, having more energy, those kind of things, than it is like a one specific, I need to get my body fat to this level by this date. Because I found over time when I work with people like that, and that's really common in the field too, that one, if they do get there, they bounce back really hard because they go so hard in the paint. And two, we don't really get that much more efficient by getting super focused on it. I would say there's a low return on investment once they get past, like, I think of it like the 80% seriousness mark. And some coaches want their clients to be serious and super gung ho about things, and that's a certain kind of coach, but we're not that kind of business, really. We're really like the, how do we integrate this into your lifestyle so that it's consistent and you really don't need us but for the expertise and the assessment and the program design.
Yeah, and I imagine that like flexibility and balance are probably a big part of it. Where
Exactly.
like if you're just trying to like bulk up for like a bodybuilding competition, that's not your goal. But for the rest of us, for everyday life, those are super important.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times people think that they need to say something like a bodybuilding goal or like a powerlifting goal, like I want to get this strong or I want to get this much body fat, because that's the pop way of talking to a coach, basically. But I think a lot of times when I ask why, a couple, like two or three more whys after that, we really get to the root, you know?
Yeah.
And one of the things we do when we do, I just did a local event in Percival where we set up a booth, and I just set up like a little piece of paper with an X on it or a cross on it, like a X and Y axis type of thing. Think about your algebra days if you if you want to or not. But
No.
just having people stand on one foot at different distances away from that cross, and then look left but keep their eyes on that cross, look right but keep their eyes on that cross, is one of the balance tests we do. And it's so funny when I do these events and I just have people check out their balance. I just give them a little challenge, like, how good is your balance? Can you stand on one leg? Can you stand on one leg and look different directions? Can you stand on one leg and close your eyes? Those kind of things. You would be surprised, and most people are surprised, how hard some of those things are that they would think would be easy. And then it's just an easy, like, here, take my card. We'll talk about balance and strength and mobility later if you want.
Yeah.
And we do a
So
free
important.
assessment for everybody when we go to those events. I'll give them a card for a free assessment. And then even if we can't work with them for whatever reason, I like to try and give people a general plan, or like a couple of action steps, maybe where they are, to help them get to where they're going. And that's something we do. I do that. I just did that about 2 hours ago with a lead, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I'm not like a hard sell kind of person. I'm more of I'm going to give you things to help you notice the value. And then if you feel like it's the right time, we can go forward.
That's very smart. That's the best way to do it. So a lot of people in our community have ocular melanoma, which will impact their vision in at least one eye. So if you're dealing with somebody with low vision, balance is going to be a little extra difficult. What
Exactly.
kind of tips do you have for people in our community? Anything that they could try to, like, improve balance with low vision or anything like that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's even eye strengthening exercises I think of a lot of times, for some people that show promise in kind of delaying that degradation, or at least holding on to a certain level of eye strength. So there's different eye strengthening exercises I recommended before. Examples of that would be looking at something close by and then looking at something far away, with both eyes, and then maybe doing it with one eye, and then maybe doing it with the other eye. I actually had eye surgery when I was little because I had these giant bifocals. Back in the 90s, they didn't look as nice. They had these giant split in between them, and my eyes looked humongous.
Oh, cute though.
Yeah.
I bet you were adorable.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, for a 7-year-old, it wasn't too bad, but I just remember afterwards they gave me a bunch of eye exercises, and I've since looked into it, and I know the process and why they did it. But it was amazing to me how much you could actually grow the muscles around your eye to help you with stabilization. And that stabilization actually can help a lot with the balance. And then if you don't have that, you can work on that in other ways. You can go away from the eye, you can work on your hearing in balance situations, and you can look at your other senses and try to build those up as much as possible, which is the obvious answer, but there's different exercises you can do for that. There's different things you can do for your ankle and your feet, which your ankle and your feet, I would say I've become a little bit of a zealot about over the years. It's pretty amazing how much stronger and how much better people's balance can get if they can improve their foot health. And because most people's foot health is so in the dumps, it's not that hard to improve it. So then you'll see a drastic difference by improving it a little bit.
Wow. So what's like an example of something that improves your foot health?
We could do passive things and we could do active things, actually. So depending on what we see in a general like physical assessment, a lot of times I'll see people whose ankle will collapse inwards or their arch will collapse. And it sounds worse than it is, because if I have somebody balance on one leg, you won't see it as much unless you're used to seeing it. But then if we do like a slow motion video and we draw some lines and show you straight lines versus not straight lines and how those lines change, you'll see it real quick. But there's one of the exercises I really like doing. This is a little bit complicated, but you tie a band to your big toe. And you anchor that band to something low on the ground, like under a couch or something like that. And what that does is it pulls your big toe away from your foot a little bit. And what you have to do is you have to practice pushing down on that big toe. Okay. And so, and that will engage your arch a lot more, and it'll keep that collapsing inwards from happening a lot more. But for a lot of people, it's going to feel really funky, basically.
But at the same time, that's something anybody can do. Like no matter
Yeah.
what your mobility is, you're sitting, right? So anybody could do that.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Another thing, you could, that's more active, for example. I really like that drill. But then there's passive ways you can, I wish I wore them actually, but you can get, I forget what they're called. I think they're called magic toe socks. You can also get toe separators, or if you do pedicures often, you can just grab those toe separators that you have in your pedicures kit. But just giving your toes a little bit more space in between podcast sessions, for example, or even during podcast sessions. You could be doing it right now. You know, you could wear the magic socks, which have a little bit of a toe spacer in them, or you could get some toe spacers or get a pedicure, like those foamy ones. And it's very relative because some people are so used to wearing, like my heels clients, my female Washington, D.C. Executive types, I would say, that are like younger or middle aged. They haven't gotten old enough to be like F the heels yet, basically. They a lot of times have these really like pinched feet, and just a little bit of separation throughout the day, I mean, makes their ankles feel better. A lot of times I'll hear like their low back feels better because that pressure from every step is getting squeezed up a narrow pathway. If you think about we're going to go through all your old classes. I forget what we went through earlier. We went through algebra, so now we're going through physics. The force production on your joints when your feet are squeezed versus when your feet are open is multiples higher in small specific areas that you're repeating thousands of times per day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So if you can change that, if you can just get better at that, you're going to see a drastic difference pretty quickly.
Wow. That's crazy. It's crazy to me that you can do something so beneficial with such a ripple effect. That could be as simple as like wearing a certain kind of sock. And I know the socks you're talking about because my husband has a pair. He's got a foot issue and he wears those from time to time. And it's like your toes are like sticking out of it like this.
Mm-hmm.
And they are very cool. So it is really cool that something so simple can really help you and not something super complicated.
Yeah. Well,
so that's really amazing.
And the key to a lot of these things.
Hold on real quick.
Okay.
You can't. Okay. Hold on. We're having a technical difficulty.
Oh, hey, producer.
What? Say it again, Jamie.
Volume's low for Megan.
Yeah, volume's low for me. Okay, sorry everyone listening. We're gonna see if we can adjust my volume. I've got it low for some reason. I'm not really sure what I can do. Let me try.
Sometimes I just take the headphones out and use the onboard mic, if that helps at all.
Let me try that. Let me see. Do I have to leave the studio and come back in to do that? Oh. It's not giving me. It's up. It's up. Mm-hmm.
Mic check.
Yeah, Mike's good. Mike, you can hear me though, right?
I can hear you, yeah.
Mike can hear me, but nobody else.
Yeah, I can hear it pretty clear.
Weird. Do you want me to go out and come back in without the headphone? Right.
Yeah, it's like
Okay,
adjusting
go
downwards.
out and come back in.
Yes, exactly.
I always turn that on. Hello? Can you hear me now?
You do some squats, everybody, if you're listening.
I mean, he's what's important.
You ready? We'll do some ankle exercises.
Okay. I'll lose the headphone. How about that? Well, I couldn't figure out how to make it change. Oh, how do I do? I don't know if I know how to do that on my phone. Or no, it's not on my phone. No, I'm on the computer. So I don't know how to do that. Let me just go out and say no headphone and come back in. How about that? Okay, let me try that. I'll be right back.
Ooh, so where is this live? Is this live on Facebook?
No. YouTube and Facebook.
Ooh,
Can you hear me now?
okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Right. I guess it was the headphone, which I normally use, so I don't know what the deal was. I apologize, everybody. So sorry for that.
Turn it on, turn it back off.
All right. Okay. Well,
I remember
right,
where
well,
I was if you want to start from there.
okay, yeah, let's just continue, and hopefully in editing they can bump up my volume where you can hear what I said in the beginning. Again, we apologize. This is live, and this is the fun of going live. You never know what's going to happen. So, Mike, go ahead and pick up where we left off, and we'll just pretend that didn't happen.
So you were saying your husband has the
toe socks.
Toe socks, yes. And that's awesome. It's still good to hear, by the way. One of the things I was going to say is I think a lot of people have already taken like the first one or two steps to making a drastic change, or they're within like striking distance, like they can grab that resource, or they can go to that place, or they have that friend that they could work out with, but they may have only done it a few times, and they're not getting that frequency over time, and that repetition over time in that short enough period of time to really see dramatic differences. So a lot of times when I talk about these dramatic differences, they're right there for a lot of people. It's just that it's hard to identify what those are, and then it's hard to implement that at a frequency and a consistency that's really hard for them.
Well, that makes sense because you don't know what you don't know. So, like, I might have a foot pain and I don't know what's causing it or how to fix it, but I might be able to tell you what it is, and you would know exactly, like, oh, and maybe it is a simple fix like wearing these socks or doing a band exercise that I could do seated at home, and I don't have to go to physical therapy, and I don't have to buy fancy equipment or, do something super strenuous.
And you know what it usually is? It usually is something like that for about 6 to 12 weeks. And then you need to figure, and then people will hit a standstill where they won't be able to squeeze as much juice out of whatever the thing was that was useful. And then you figure out, do I need to progress? Do I need to regress? Do I need to keep doing what I'm doing? Or do I need to stop doing what I'm doing, replace what I'm doing with something else?
Right.
And that's a lot of times what I'm trying to tell people or help people with in our first meeting is like, where are you? What's the frequency and consistency that looks good for you? Mm-hmm. Here's some suggestions. Which ones look the most likely for your lifestyle? And then 6 to 12 weeks, let's check back in. Let's see where you are. And then other people, like my male clients, will check in like every week, but it'll just be like one-on-one. And then my female clients will check in like every other week, for example. We'll do the group class every week, that kind of thing.
That's awesome.
But that's how I'm trying to communicate, I guess, health behavior change. That's what a lot of my master's work was in, and the research we did there. And I think that's really like the missing link for a lot of people.
Yeah, and they need someone like you who can come in and be that link for them and fill that gap.
Yeah, and you don't need a lot either. You just need to know what is the right fit for you. It's kind of like finding a shirt in a way, or
Yeah,
finding an outfit.
definitely. And I think like in this day and age, so many people go to Google and they search like what their symptom is, and 10 things might come up, and it could be this to this to this to this, and sometimes even going to the doctor, you go get a second opinion because you're not really sure if they're right or not. So I think just having someone like you who can really help versus trying to do the self-diagnosis and Google your own symptoms, it's never a good idea. We never want to do that.
Yeah, because you can kind of get stuck in the woods with a lot of that stuff. Even coaches, it's funny because you can get stuck in your own biases even as a coach, honestly. I think it's a really good sign when coaches actually are coached by other coaches, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
versus coaches who are always just doing their own thing, writing their own program, assuming that they're going to be able to have an unbiased view of what what things look like, and how things are
Yeah.
progressing. I think
Right.
it's just really hard to get out of that
Yeah, you
mindset.
get stuck in a rut too, I'm
Yeah.
sure. You just, go through the motion and do the same exercises, and it's kind of this blanket thing. You want to keep learning new things, and sort of, in any profession, you want to have continuing education and keep learning like what's new. And, somebody might have a brilliant idea that you just didn't think about. That's something super simple, like one of the things my husband does, which I'm sure is probably something you're familiar with. He just takes a frozen water bottle and like rolls his foot over
Yes,
a frozen water bottle.
that's
So
old school. That one's
simple.
stuck around for a
Yeah.
long time now. Yeah.
Right, but I would have never thought to do that. And then I saw it on like TikTok or something. Someone was like, "Oh, if you're having these foot pains, do this." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's brilliant." And so he started doing it, but we wouldn't have thought of that on our own, even though it's simple, it's free. I mean, everyone has a water bottle.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I really like, there's a book called Foot Pain Relief. It's by a biomechanist. So that's someone who studies like the physics of the body. Her name is Katie Bowman. She's a certified strength conditioning coach and all that too. But that has a great set of pictures. Sometimes I'll give that book to people a lot of times. So if your husband wants to check that out, or if anybody who's working on balance is trying to get better with their balance, and it's hard for them because of their eyes, and you can get better with your foot pain or your foot health or your ankle health, that can make a huge difference. And that has a list of a bunch of different resources in there.
Yeah. I think especially for people in our community with a vision issue, I think balance and flexibility, right, and hand in hand with balance is going to be so important. And it might be something that they're not even thinking about, that they're thinking about more their sight, not really like how balance could play into a low vision situation.
Another thing I think about for your population too
Mm-hmm.
is getting up and down from the ground,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's a big one, and that's really scary for a lot of people. And when it gets scary, it really sucks because you have that fear in the back of your mind a lot of times. And that's something I'd really like to work on if that is an issue with people, because just getting that fear to calm down can make a large difference for a bunch of other parts of your life as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it can also really help with mobility training, because a lot of times people's hips are so tight that they're very surprised at how hard it is to get up off the ground because of that hip tightness, because of sitting at computers all day, for example, or sitting at a desk all day. And that's something we focus on with our pretty much everybody, because I don't know anybody who actually can get up off the ground really well at first, except for maybe my gymnast athletes I've had come through.
Right.
But I think for your population specifically, that's probably something you might see and hear a lot. And that can be really, really helpful for improving your hip mobility. Even just sitting on the ground actually is kind of one of those passive things, going back to like a passive or active intervention.
Mhm.
Just sitting on the ground can do a bunch for your mobility. And it seems so obvious, it's silly in a way, but I've seen people just replace certain times when they were knitting, for example, with sitting on the ground, and then hip pain that had been around for like 10 years after a few months of just replacing probably an hour a couple times a week sitting on a chair versus sitting on the ground. And that could be with a bolster. That doesn't have to be like flat on the ground. You can sit on a yoga block. You could sit on like a meditation pad. You could sit on multiple pillows. It doesn't have to be super like strict on the ground, no support either.
That's awesome. I would not have guessed that. I would have thought sitting on the ground would like make it worse. So that again, like you don't know what you don't know. That's amazing.
Yep, and it can make it worse. A lot of interventions can make things worse, but a lot of that worse and better is related to the dose. The dose kind of makes the poison or the medicine.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's a big thing that plays into the frequency that we need to figure out. What is a good frequency? A lot of that's related to what's the correct dosage over time for you with these passive and active interventions, for example, exercise interventions, or even just habit interventions. Same thing. Dose makes the poison, because a lot of times you add a habit in, you don't think about the mental load that that habit will have for you and how much energy you have to devote to it.
Mhm.
So that's why things like Atomic Habits. Have you heard of that book?
No.
No, check out Atomic Habits. Like New
Okay.
York Times bestseller, top of the charts across the board. Very smart people love it. It's got a lot of really good reviews. It's all about such small habits that they're the size of like an atom, basically. And it plays off of research that's come out of Stanford from Professor BJ Fogg, who is also amazing. He wrote a book called Tiny Habits.
Okay.
But I like the Atomic Habits book because it gives you a little bit more actionable, less research backed.
Mhm.
I mean, less research jargoned, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And the reason he called it Atomic Habits is, one, because they're so small, but two, because you think of an atom or something atomic, you think of something like a giant explosion, right?
Yeah.
And that's because something so small can become something so dramatic once you get that dose and that frequency right.
Mhm.
And he breaks it down. It's really good. If you check out that book, I wish more of my clients would read that book, honestly.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so since this is such great information for everybody, but since it is men's health, what would you say is the most important thing to you going into men's health? What do they need to know? What do they need to do? What are your thoughts on men's health?
Man, I was thinking about this when I talked to you earlier too. There's a lot of areas of men's health that a lot of voids in men's health that I think can be filled with men working out together, that I wish I could get them to do more. But one of the things I like to recommend a lot, especially around this time of the year, is getting outside. And it doesn't seem like a male or female thing as much, but when I can get my male clients to go outside more, I see a much larger change in their mental focus, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. I mean, there's a
It
lot of grounding that happens when you're outside.
Yes, and I think that grounding effect,
Yes.
I feel like men need it more.
So I have a tip for that. I don't know. Are you familiar with grounding sheets?
Maybe. Are these like the electromagnetic ones?
If you want to work on your grounding and you don't have time to go outside or it's too cold or whatever, they have sheets that you can get that you plug them in, but they're not electric. But when the plug goes in, it attaches to the ground wire that goes into the ground,
Hmm.
and that runs through this little, I don't know if it's some kind of a metal or something that runs through the sheets. Like you don't feel it, but you ground all night while you sleep.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
I like
I
that.
haven't tried them yet, but it's on my Amazon wish list. So maybe a
It's like a
Christmas
pass.
present.
That's more of a passive one. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I'm really excited to try them. So I think I might buy them for my husband for Christmas since we share sheets anyway. So I don't know. But I'm so excited to try them because, yeah, I mean, I can't really go stand outside in the grass in my bare feet in the winter or for as much time as we need to really get that
Right.
grounding, But it's so beneficial.
Well, even if you can't stand outside in your bare feet, there's a method I really like to use when people are outside,
Hmm.
and it's was originally popularized, I believe, in Japan, and it's all about using your senses to bathe yourself in the nature that surrounds you.
Oh,
And this is a good one, I think, because it's a little bit easier to convince people with this one.
yeah.
Um, where you go anywhere outside. Like you're walking from your house to your car, you're outside, right?
Yeah.
A lot, unless you got a garage that you're going in your car, for example. But once you get out of your car to go groceries, you got to be outside at some point, right?
Right.
Um, just pause and think about your senses and think about, what do I smell? What do I see? What do I hear? What do I feel? All those things, you pause and you think and you absorb that a little bit, and it gets your body to take the cortisol, that stress hormone, and take your nervous system and tell them to chill out, because we're focusing on the nature around us in the now versus all the subjective little things that are kind of running like tabs on a computer with way too many windows open, basically. I think that is extremely useful. I try to do that as often as possible. I'm really lucky because I kind of live out in the country, so I can get outside a lot. But that you can do anywhere. You don't need any equipment, and it takes a minute at minimum. But a lot of times I'll tell people to do that and they'll stretch it way farther.
Nice.
And that's kind of like a keystone tiny habit, is what I would call that one. Because a lot of times I'll give somebody that habit to work on,
Hmm.
and from that, a whole bunch of other habits will flourish,
That's
basically.
awesome.
And it's just super simple. It's 1 minute. It's very atomic, I
Yeah.
would say, and anybody can do it. And I think it's really useful for men, especially because I see, when I get men to do that and when men do that, a dramatic change, honestly, across multiple levels. And it's
Yeah.
good for your. It's just good for you. It's just straight up good for you. Get outside, breathe some fresh air, or some traffic air, depending on where you
And
are.
even just slowing down and taking a few slow breaths will reset your nervous system. I mean, just
Mm-hmm.
no matter where you are, but especially to do it outside. I mean,
Yep.
and
Yep.
it is ripple benefit. You do that, you calm yourself, and then you go into the next situation a little bit calmer, a little bit more open, and it's a huge ripple.
Yeah, and I find that that specific one, like I've done breathing habits with people, and I followed up with them, and I worked on that one with that. But I find that I give someone something like a like they call it forest bathing, I believe, or
Yeah.
nature bathing.
Hmm.
I give the men that more than the just the breathing exercises much. But I feel like one of the reasons I might be doing that is because it's a little bit more direct, if that makes sense. Like, do
Yeah.
this way, go in
Right.
this order, you know?
Some of us need that.
Yeah. And it clicks a little, it's a little bit, it clicks more versus when I try and give them the breathing exercises, it doesn't click as much, which the breathing exercise, I love box breathing, by the
Yeah.
way. Do you know about box breathing?
No. No.
So box breathing is a simple one that don't do when you're operating heavy machinery, by the way. But you work on exhaling for 4 seconds, Usually that means through like pursed lips, so you don't blow all the air out in the first 2 seconds. Then you hold for 2 seconds. You don't breathe in or out. I mean, for 4 seconds. Sorry, you don't breathe in or out. So 4. I'm getting. Oh, I get like little balloons if I do fun things. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah, I did see it. I didn't know what it was though.
And if I do this, does it do it again? No.
Oh, that was funny.
So 4 seconds exhale, 4 seconds hold, 4 seconds inhale, 4 seconds hold.
Okay.
And then repeat. 4 seconds exhale, 4 seconds hold, 4 seconds inhale, 4 seconds hold. And that will get you to really focus on the current moment.
Nice.
And it's a little bit more direct. And it's easy numbers to remember. And that it's called box breathing because you can imagine like a 4-sided square.
Oh, I was going to ask you why it was called box breathing, but that makes sense. 4 seconds.
4 seconds, hold, 4 seconds, hold, repeat.
Nice. And
that's really good.
I love that. Anyone can do it anywhere. It's free. Love it.
Yep. It's a great one. What else for men's health? Man, I mean, there's the typical, like, go get a physical, go to the doctor. I don't think the numbers have improved a lot. They still are pretty low. I have seen improvements over time. I have my master's in public health from GW. So I used to have all the statistics memorized and everything. It's been a while now, though. But most men just don't go into the doctor. They don't get their preventative screenings done. They don't get their physicals done. They don't go in regularly and check their blood pressure. Or even if you're not going to go to the doctor, go to like the local grocery store and get your blood pressure checked a couple times. And don't just rely on that one measurement either. Like get multiple measurements. Go a couple times.
Yeah, definitely. Because you want to find a problem before it becomes a big problem. By the time you're suffering enough to go to the doctor, you've probably waited a little too late.
Yeah. And that happens way too often for most men in the US these days, I would say. And it's getting better, but it's really like 2% better than maybe 5 years ago. It's really not getting as good as it needs to be. So that's still something to check on. Yep.
Definitely. So for everyone who's watching, whether they're male or female, if they are like, man, I would like to work with Mike. This sounds amazing. He's got a great energy. He's upbeat. He's fun. And I need some exercises to, maybe just live a more full life, have better balance, better flexibility, or I have a goal. I want to, do X, Y, or Z. How can people get a hold of you?
Yeah. So you can you can email me. My email is mike@vivotrainingsystems.com. You can find me on Instagram at Coach Vivo, VIVO. Then we have our corporate wellness website, but you can contact me through that as well. It's called planyourstrength.com. So if you're trying to convince your business to give you maybe some discounts on some fitness and health services, or maybe you want to run a small wellness challenge for a group of friends or business or a division in your business, we do that a lot. And then you can find me on Facebook. Our business page is Vivo Training Systems. And you can just friend me on Facebook too. I don't care.
Awesome. And we'll link all of these for you so you can find them. I'll put them in the comments of the live. And then we'll also, when this is edited and re-released as an edited version, we'll have everything in the show notes. So you guys should be able to find all of these things. And is there anything else, Mike, before we wrap it up? Do you feel like we hit everything?
I feel like we hit pretty much everything. Yeah, I would say just remember what time of year it is right now. That's a big message I'm trying to get across to people. Remember what that mental load looks like around this time of year. Remember what that physical load looks like this time of year. A lot of times people will set their expectations really high for their health habits, and then the season will start and it gets much harder. So just try and, I would say, find things that are your anchors, your foundations. What are your anchors and your foundations at this time of year? And can you hold on to those and build those or fortify those? I think that's really important around the holiday season. going into New Year's and whatnot. And then if you have a really hard time, feel free to contact me in January or February, like most people do.
Yeah. I bet that's your busy season.
It's my busy season, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Busy.
Because I think we get so busy in the holidays and we drop so many things and we eat too much and we drink too much and we lay around too much watching the Christmas movies and the holiday movies, and then January comes and we all go, "Oh dear,
Hmm.
we've
Hmm.
all the last 4 months."
And I think it's okay to like take it easier over the holidays, you know. And I'm not trying to just give people permission to just be slobs over the holidays or anything like that, you know. But I do think you're going to have seasons in your year and in your life that you need to plan accordingly for. It helps to know yourself well in those seasons. For example, so if you don't know yourself well enough, it's actually really useful to take some personality tests. We do a little personality assessment when we meet with new clients for that reason as well. But work on knowing yourself, work on building your foundations and whatever healthy habits you're doing right now. Enjoy the holidays, but just keep your foundations there, keep your routines there as much as you can, so you don't have to dig yourself out of a hole as much when we get to the end of the holiday season.
Yeah, maybe have a little bit of balance.
Yeah, work on a little bit of balance on one foot with an eye closed, maybe.
I meant balancing
I
your
know, I
healthy
know,
habits and your bad habits, but
I know,
all balances,
I
yes.
know.
Yeah, like don't go off the rails and just go crazy, but indulge and give yourself some grace, but then also, go for a walk, do something that's on the healthy side as well, so then you don't beat yourself up so much, you don't feel so bad about when you did indulge.
Right.
And
Like
I think
what are the things that you know you can do when things get crazy and you know that help you when things get crazy and you've been doing for a while, and keep doing those, basically. That's really what I'm saying right now. And if you're trying to start new things right now, that's okay too, but try to keep them at the atomic level, basically.
Yeah, and don't put too much on yourself going into the holidays. It's stressful and it's hard, and for everybody, but also for men, because I feel like men aren't as good of a communicator as the females are, and so if you're not talking out those feelings and you're kind of holding it in and you're stressed out because the holidays are a lot. It's financially overwhelming. It's a lot of guys don't like to be around a lot of people, and all of a sudden you're in holiday party after holiday party and there's this and that, and it's just an overwhelming time. So give yourself some grace, and just try to take some time for yourself. And I do think it's just a very overwhelming time, but I do think it hits men a little bit harder.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of times I don't see the males until February. I see the females in January, and I see the
Yeah.
males more in February, basically. Is
They have to
usually right.
recover before they can come to
Yeah,
you.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, and there's a myriad of reasons, and that's definitely probably one of them, I would say. Yeah, so
Awesome.
keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, I would say. That's my closing
Definitely.
remarks.
Yeah. All right. Well, Mike, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Thank you for all this amazing information. This was so beneficial, and I hope that everyone out there watching really got a lot out of this. And please reach out to Mike if you'd like to work with him, if you want him to kind of give you a rundown on some things you can work on. I mean, I feel like every single person can use a little bit of help, especially with those things. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all the platforms that we are on. It really does help us when you subscribe. It really helps us. We are still trying to hit our goal of 1,000 subscribers so that we can monetize our YouTube, and we are getting close. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Or if you have and you have a second email address, or you have a friend, maybe ask them pretty please to subscribe. Maybe buy them a coffee if they subscribe. It really doesn't hurt anything. It doesn't spam them or do anything. They can do it and forget about it and never even know they did it if they want to. Or they can sign up for notifications and get our notifications when we do have a new post, which we encourage you to do if you want the information. And we have a newsletter on our website. Please go to acureinsight.org, click at the top to join the newsletter, and you'll get a newsletter once a month. It's not overwhelming, it's just once a month, but it has a lot of great information and kind of keeps you in the loop of what's going on with us and what we're bringing to you. We have a ton of free resources. We have a Zoom meeting every Tuesday night that we invite you to come and just be part of the community and connect with people who are in your same situation. And you can either be there for the people who are new to the community, or you can have somebody as a mentor to you who's a little bit older, or, well, I shouldn't say older, but has been in the community a little longer, a little more
Experience.
experienced. And we do have a program that kind of matches you up as buddies. If you want somebody to kind of help you, or if you've been around and you want to return that, you can sign up for that program. And we've got Giving Tuesday coming up. Please, please, please tell your friends about Giving Tuesday and help us start a campaign to start fundraising for Giving Tuesday. That's a huge one for us. Our jewelry fundraiser is still going. If you'd like to buy jewelry for any holiday presents or anything, there are holiday sales are going on. You can check our Facebook page for the link, or shoot me a message and I'll send it to you. And we just have so much going on right now. It's exciting. It's an exciting time. So
busy time of the year. Yeah.
It is. It's a busy time of year and we're excited. So if you need anything, please reach out to us and let us know what you need. The reason we do all of these Giving Tuesday and all of that to raise money is so that we can help through research and patient aid. We do so many programs. So if you need something, please reach out to us. Go to acureandsight.org and you will find so many resources, or shoot us a message and we can direct you to where you need to be. But don't struggle alone, especially through the holidays. If you need something, say something. And whether it's to us or somebody else that you're comfortable with, I think that's a great thing that we kind of hit on today that I just would like to reiterate as we close out is you're not alone. We're here. Other people are around. Reach out and join the community. Have some, some bonding and some friendships, and don't just struggle alone through the holiday season.
Amen.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to leave you with that. So I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Mike, thanks for being here. I've enjoyed this. This was amazing.
Yes.
And everybody, we will see you guys next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Okay. It is stopping. All right.